I know this sounds a little messed up. Maybe I should do it in the Lucifer voice. Maybe it'll make more sense.
I really think we should ought to think, like, if we want to deter people from coming into the country that we don't want into the country, instead of just paying to deport them, let's make it an emotional and social and psychological experience. Just like Singapore does, where we publicly cane you, right?
So the concept would be everybody we decide to deport, we should, since they're not citizens, make it an experience for them like Singapore does for people. And do that public caning where, they take all your clothes and all your stuff, all the stuff that makes you feel awesome, and they strip you down into a prison uniform, bare your ass, smack you with a bunch of rattan reeds, and then they send you back to wherever you came from with not any of your stuff. Seize all your belongings, Just an idea on deterrence. Because there is a lot of political psychosocial problems that are going on. And I really think we need to socialize healthcare and stuff like that in the concept where everybody gets access to stuff, but we can't do anything like that if we have a permeated structure. That's why I think we need to federate America in order to, consolidate the power structures and give people a reason to stay where they're at, right? And create an economic development corridor, an investment corridor that's never existed before, right? Stuff like that ought to happen instead of creating these tiny little economic units that can really not function well on their own, right? So, anyways, just some thoughts. I thought it would be a good idea to create a deterrence like other countries do, because at the end of the day, those are people that aren't necessarily citizens, right? And there's got to be some kind of a reason for them to be humiliated rather than, get integrated with the court system. I really think there needs to be a deterrence system that's far and reaching, and impunity needs to be given to people that are doing certain things. I really think it's a terrorist operation that happened on us where they permeated our superstructures and substructures, and that's something that needs to get looked at. How the Roman government did it is they gave impunity to their outposts, aka their garrisons, to do exactly that, cultivate a society that has peace, right? And if there's stuff that's causing disturbances in peace and illegal trade, which is always something people are concerned about because illegal trade causes people to die, aka drugs. Drugs were a thing way back when. How they dealt with it, they did that exact thing. Gave impunity and authority, sweeping authority, to groups like a U.S. military system to slide through an entire area where their sphere of influence was, right? And do exactly that. Solidify, right? At one time, it was going out to Gaul and solidifying Europe and the authority in above Italy, right? Because it's out of Rome, right? Well, out of North America, the U.S., that power structure should slide down, and we should be able to cultivate a corridor where, we don't have people just a border away that are totally working against us, or a water away that are supposed to be allies that are totally working against us. One's allowing drugs and stuff to flow through, and China's drugs are flowing through to Canada and stuff too. I really think geopolitics should shift to shaping and cultivating a golden age of prosperity for us, right? And that could happen. Federating America would not be a bad thing. I really think that's how you conglomerate differentiated government structures, but still oppose negative trade partners, right? And we would conglomerate over those things, right? Because there's enough resources in our corridor to not have to leave out to anything. Really, what needs to happen is we need to start looking at, can we, with ourselves, cultivate what's in our own corridor? Or are we going to be subservient for the contingent to people who are absolutely economic enemies, right? I know it seems like a slash and burn idea to get something done like that, and it's not. To really get everybody federated would be just get everybody under the Constitution, right? That would be the first move, right? And everybody wants it. Canada wants it. Canada wants comedy to be funny again, right? And there's spots in Latin America, including South America, that would absolutely absolutely benefit from the Constitution. I believe Chile's one of those that has recently came out of more authoritative structures, right? We do that, and it wouldn't take long to look at our trade structures and our development structures and collaborate with the resources we have and do something that opposes what is totally trade enemies, because Asia seems to be contingently opposed. They have a plan where over the next several hundred years they want to become the polarity in the earth, right? And whether we want to be honest with that or not, right? I mean, that's totally their plan. Do you think you want to be under that? I don't. Their authoritative structures are not exactly what I would want to be under, and they're eating our lunch economically. They think they're going to win and sink our financial structures by having the obvious polarity in manufacturing, right? They think they're the spot where innovation and manufacturing has, and they're absolutely right. Start stuff for even American companies to go over there. It was lucrative, right? Right. So anything that's lucrative in other countries for investment from parent country companies, that means that parent country has lost its ability to maintain and retain intellectual development and people out looking for the health and vitality of that country. That's not good. We need to figure out how to bring and keep money here, right? I mean, everyone wants to shop local, but it's hard to do that when at the same time we're flooding the market with stuff that doesn't belong here, right? And I know it's going to take forever for us to be able to switch from that, but something needs to happen for that. Because these trade partners, so-called trade partners, are not trade partners, guys. And everybody knows it. It's predatory, all the stuff they do. I don't know how it's going to happen or what would happen, but it would be good if all of North and South America, because we just bailed out we bailed out Argentina. If we're able to still do stuff like that, then we should de-invest the gall darn Ukraine war crap thing and start looking at what we can do in our economic corridor, because that's a lost cause. That's a straight up lost cause. And Europe got us into it. That's the third war they've started over there that they want us to fucking clean up after at the end of the day, right? It just is what it is. A lost cause. They think we're going to continue to pay for their defense, pay for this, pay for that. I heard there was $22 trillion odd dollars spent since the main part of NATO kicked off, and most of it was the American taxpayers' dollars. Insanity. But we're going to continue to do that for people who have economic interest of enmyship with us. It's ridiculous. It's just insane. We basically got back their entirety, let them get their Europe back, right? And they never really paid us back for it. And we pay for their defense. It's insanity. Why? We cannot keep doing that and allowing China to do what they do. I don't know who. Someone should take a note and consider these things, but they're not. We see all the moves that are going to land. I mean, it looks like we're moving toward it now, but dang, how many generations are we going to allow these countries to do these things? And then we got Iran thinking that they can threat the mainland. That's so messed up. That stuff needs to stop. We need to come to a world there where it's safe for people to continue to have families and have economic development. But because of all this commingle, and our fingers are in too many pots, but we're not looking at the real enemy. The real enemy is not being able to be consolidated with our neighbors, right? Because if we were consolidated with our neighbors, we wouldn't have immigration issues, we wouldn't have trade issues, we would have economic prosperity between them. Everything needs to get re-looked at. And we need to look more at home, I hope. Man, just some ideas on wax. Geopolitics is what I've been looking at lately, and just my thoughts on it.